Welcome or welcome back. In case you didn't know, this is only my third YouTube video. So to get further caught up, I wanted to do a little very belated 2023 book wrap up. Hi, it's me. From about 2 hours later, I forgot to mention that I am not at home right now. I'm at my dad's house, so all of the books, the background, all the books you see, nothing is mine. I don't have any of my books here. That's why I'm not holding up books during the video, anything like that. These bookshelves are my dad's. The books are my dad's. Not mine. That's all. Bye. Love you.
Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear my voice? Anybody out there? Anybody hears me, please respond.
I read 57 books last year, which according to Storygraph came out to 19,123 pages. So chronologically, here is every book that I read last year. In January, I read 2 books, Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker and Piranesi by Susanna Clark. In February, I read 4 books, Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, Gallant by V.E. Schwab, and Atomic Habits by James Clear. In March, I read 2 books. This was before I really got back into the swing of things, obviously. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Circe by Madeline Miller. In April, I read 3 books, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and then Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I was in Europe for most of May of last year, and so I only read 1 book, Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, to wrap up the Shadow and Bone trilogy. In June, I read 4 books, Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake, A Whole New World by Liz Braswell, and Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. In July, I started finding my groove again a little bit more. I started getting back to reading heavily, and I read 7 books. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, The Crane Husband by Kelly Barnhill, Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, King of Scars and Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, and The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. In August, I read 10 books. Nowhere for Very Long by Brianna Madia, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, The Days of Abandonment by Alana Ferrante, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, House of Roots and Ruin by Erin A. Craig, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yaros, My Body by Emily Ratajkowski, Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire, Galatea by Madeline Miller, and Foster by Claire Keegan. In September, I read 7 books. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, Salt Slow by Julia Armfield, The Shades of Magic Trilogy by V.E. Schwab, Recursion by Blake Crouch, and The Upward Spiral by Alex Korb. I forgot to turn on the mic again. Why do I keep doing this? Damn it. Okay, if there are any audio differences, sorry. In October, I read 8 books. House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke, Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi, Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, Paradise Rot by Jenny Haval, The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean, and A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. In November, I read 6 books. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab, Iron Flame by Rebecca Yaros, Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus, What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, and Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. And then December is always slower for me reading-wise, so I only read 3 books in December. Powerless by Lauren Roberts, A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chamber, and then because I was with family, for all of the second half of December, I needed something that I already knew the story of that I could take in really easily and I didn't have to pay a whole lot of attention to. So I read the A Court of Mist and Fury, Rhysand's Point of View fanfiction by Illyrian Tremors, which, by the way, was the first fanfic I've ever read and probably the last. And now we get to do fun stats. According to Storygraph, my top 5 moods were dark, adventurous, emotional, mysterious, and reflective, which tracks and has been pretty much the same year after year. 44% of my books were less than 300 pages, 37% were between 300 and 500, and 19% were over 500 pages. 88% of the books I read were fiction and 12% were nonfiction. 47% were fantasy, 18% were horror, 12% were sci-fi, 7% were general or miscellaneous fiction, 7% were self-help, 5% were memoirs, and 4% were romance. 56% were standalones and 44% were part of a series. Out of my 57 books, 2/3 were written by authors that were new to me, and 1/3 were from authors that I had read before. Because I had only recently gotten back into heavy reading, I was playing catch up with a lot of books, so only 12% of the books I read in 2023 were released in 2023, and 88% were older than that, with the oldest book being Days of Abandonment, which came out in 2002. According to Goodreads, my shortest book was Galatea at 64 pages, and my longest book was The Fragile Threads of Power at 664 pages. And my average overall book length was 335 pages. The author I read from the most was Leigh Bardugo with 7 books, followed by V.E. Schwab with 5 books, and tying for 3rd place was Blake Crouch, Julia Armfield, Becky Chambers, Rebecca Yarros, Madeline Miller, and Ashley Herring Blake, all tied with 2 books. My average star rating for the year was 4.05, which seems high as and it won't be the norm moving forward. It really is just because I had a lot of catch up to do. I had a whole lot of books, series especially, that I had missed out on reading because I was not reading for so long, and I had to play catch up with a lot of very well loved series and books. And now we get to do some fun visual stats, which full inspiration for this goes to my favorite booktuber of all time, Books and Lala. If you are ever watching this, if you ever see my face at any point, if you hear me saying these words, let's be friends. Let's be friends. Seriously, if you are watching this video, my dinky little 3-video channel, and you've somehow never heard of Books and Lala, I need you to go find her. Go look her up now. Go binge watch her. She's she's so smart, she's so funny, and she's by far the most creative person that I've seen on BookTube. She's incredible. I love you. Just so you know. Okay, first I looked at titles, and the most commonly used word in the titles of those 57 books was house. There were 4 titles that had to do with food: candy, eaters, hunger, apples. There were 5 titles that had animals in them: crows, crane, wolves, songbird, snakes, whale. 12 titles had words pertaining to nature or natural elements: world, storm, sea, wild, salt, salt again, earth, roots, flower, nettle, river, and iron. Oh, and flame. And then I wanted to see if the titles of these books skewed more negative or positive. So for words with negative connotations, I found 24 instances, including dark, darker, fail, PTSD, ruin, shadow, siege, crooked, annihilation, scars, heavy, nowhere, abandonment, spiral, hollow, sour, last, rot, hunger, fragile, powerless, shy. And for heavy, I just want to make this very, very clear. I'm not talking about having a heavier body is a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I'm talking about something weighing heavily on your mind, a heavy burden on you, that kind of thing. Don't bring that shit here. For words with positive connotations, I only found 16 instances, like care, matter, rising, surviving, thriving, grows, gorgeous, foster, dream, light, upward, tender, flower, paradise, power, comfort, and magic. So it seems like my book titles skew a lot more negative, and I don't know what that means exactly, but it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Also interesting, I'm not a religious person by any stretch of the imagination, but I did notice that a lot of my book titles had biblical related words in them, like king, kingdom, paradise, snakes, husbands, wives, apples, psalm, prayer, tender? I know in Silent Night they say holy infant so tender and mild, and I'm almost positive they're talking about little baby Jesus, so I'm gonna count that. Then I looked at cover colors, and 10 of the books were mostly red, 3 were mostly pink, 5 were orange, 14 were a brownish yellow, 9 were green and 9 were blue, 2 were purple, 2 were black and white-ish, and 3 had too much of a color mush for me to put them into any one category. And then I looked at the images on the covers of the book to try and uncover some patterns, like a little spy. And I really hope that this is interesting to anyone else. This was a lot of fun for me to make. I liked doing this kind of research, and I like seeing this in other people's videos. So, you know, if this is boring to you, I'm sorry. Go watch go watch the other ones. Or go watch books and la la. You know, it's fine. If it's boring, sorry. If you're still here, I love you and I'm glad that you're here. So anyway, I looked at the images on the covers to uncover patterns. And 13 of the books had some kind of celestial attribute to them, suns or stars or moons. 32 of the books had a person on the cover, and I'm counting Piranesi because that's a satyr, and satyrs are half person. 10 of those 32 people were just faces. 23 books had animals on the cover, which included 9 birds and 5 dragons. There's also 2 deer, a fox, a wolf, 2 dogs, a bull, 4 bugs, a snake, a whale, and a crocodile. 8 books had water elements on the cover, which is honestly way less than I thought it would be. 23 of the books had plants or some kind of foliage on the cover. 8 books had houses on the cover, or at least doorways, including, interestingly, 1 house without a door and 1 door without a house. There were 3 instances where something that looks like smoke is meant to represent magic. And finally, there were 4 instruments of violence and 1 instrument of music. And in case you were curious about my personal favorite covers, here they are. These ones. I really love... What do I really love? I don't know. I didn't analyze what I loved about them. Maybe I'll save that for another video. Maybe I'll do a reading books based on their covers. Judging the books by their covers. I'll figure it out later. And that's all. That's all. This is a much shorter one than my second video was. Thank you for being here with me as I obsessively categorized my books. This was a lot of fun for me. And if you want to see the movie side of this, the part 2 to this video kind of comes out on Wednesday. And it's going to be a tier ranking of every movie that I watched in 2023, which I'm really excited about. I've never done a tier ranking before. And I've been looking through things. It feels like it's going to be a little bit chaotic. But hopefully I'll see you then. And that's it. That's really it. Again, thank you so much for being here with me. If you are still here, if you can hear me, or you can read the subtitles, I love you. And I'll see you soon. Hopefully. Hi! Why am I nervous again? I read 50... oh, no. Sorry. Sorry to everyone. 6 of crows and Oh, man. Why is my posture so bad? Oh my god. My back is gonna fail me. And now we get to do... blah, 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 blah. Now we get to do... Ah! I turned autofocus off, by the way, so if I'm out of focus for this whole thing and I have to shoot all this shit again, I'll just quit. I just quit. Bye. Okay. I'm looking more into the camera now. I'm making sure to look in the camera, and I hate it. I hate it. Who am I? Stop talking to yourself. Just film the video. Stop talking to yourself. Film the video. There were 4 titles that had to do with candy. No, there weren't. No. Positive connotation. It's getting darker. It's 11:45 a.m. Give me the sun. I'm about to be pissed. I don't want to color grade. For words with positive for words with... And then I looked at the images on the... 23%... No, not percent. Just books. Not percent. Just books. Oh, God. Oh, God. 23 of the books had plants